Well, hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, bit croaky. Um, and we are live on a Friday lunchtime, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with feelings. And the feeling that I have today, if I had to describe the week, and maybe you can do the same as well, for me, the feeling would have to be relieved. As I look back on the year, all right, that's the main feeling I get is relief that I got here. As you know, it was a difficult year for me, but I am so happy. Today, we're going to be talking about starting over. We're just about to go into the new year, and I know none of us like to do necessarily New Year's resolutions, although I'm pretty sure if you do New Year's resolutions, you also do things for Lent. You know what I mean? You're that sort of a person. So, what I wanted to do is to make sure that you all know that every single, let me give you the quote first of all, and then I'll talk about it. So, every sunset is an opportunity to reset. Every sunrise begins with new eyes. And what I want you to do is to realize, however difficult this past year has been, and for some of you, I know it has been particularly tough, but however tough it has been, all right, you've got a chance. We've all got this chance to start again. And you've got that chance every year as we go into New Year, every month, every week, every day, and really every hour. You get a chance, in fact, some of us every minute, to reframe how we see the world and what we want to do, what our goals are. And it's really about having that discipline that makes a difference in our lives. So that's what we're going to do. But before we get there, I just want to do some news and few things from our extended family. For those of you who don't know, Dear Mama Sal is not just me, it's a whole group of people that get together on a sort of regular basis as we go through life together rather than on our own. And so our quotes today are about starting over. And first of all, our thoughts and prayers for Jeannie's family, her daughter Annie and her family have all been sick. I mean, hospitalized type sick. And I think with the exception of one of the grandchildren. And so you can imagine when you've got both the parents basically so sick that they needed to be hospitalized. Uh, it's really a strain when you've got children, and those children are special needs children in some cases. So you look at it and you go, that must have been such a difficult time. But the good news is, I understand that Annie's doing a lot better. She's home and doing a lot better. And Remy, the father, also is, although he's still in hospital, was able to get up and eat some stuff, and he was also able to walk around. So obviously on the mend. I asked Jody, our admin, whether she'd give us an update on her health, and and she said, and I quote, "Not much to update, still slowly improving." She said she lost 8 of the 23 pounds that she put on. Um, Jody, I put on all the weight that I lost last year, and that will teach me to quality control everything that I baked. The all the chocolates. I did a whole batch of homemade chocolates for people and sent them home with a little tin of their own homemade chocolates. Well, you know that for every one I gave, I ate two. So, I'm not surprised I put on the weight that I did. So as you will hear, I am doing what I can to reduce and reverse that trend. Jodie's saying that I look beautiful. That's her favorite sweater. I know it's your favorite sweater, and that is why I really worked very hard to find it, Jodie. When I realized I couldn't find it for Christmas, it's going to go onto the New Year broadcast for sure. So here you go. It's interesting. Is it because it's plaid? I obviously will never be able to throw it away as long as I know you, or donate it or anything, because it's obviously part of our life together now. Um, just in terms of birthdays, we've had Chris, Max's dad, he's on the 24th. We had both Yvonne and Jesus, obviously, on the 25th. And we had Glenn, for those who remember Glenn, on the 28th. And then coming up, we have got Nyasha on New Year's Day. So happy birthday, happy New Year, and happy birthday to Nyasha on the 1st. As far as I know, that's all that we have. And if you are a regular viewer or listener, you watch it on the replay, whatever, and you do so regularly, and we haven't mentioned your birthday or an important event in your life, please make sure you update me, because it means it's not on our database. And here are the important things for me, as you know. We got 2 days until New Year and 81 days until spring. I don't do winter. 81 days until spring. And then for those of you who follow tennis, we got 16 days until the Australian Open, which is always a very sleepless time for me because of where it is in Australia. It means that all the important messages I want to see are normally 3 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning. And I'm not a morning person. So you understand, for the 3 o'clock ones, I'm inclined to sort of try and catnap late in the evening and then catch the game. I know what you're saying, but Sal, don't they replay it during the day? It's just not the same. It's not the same. Why? Because my system will advise me beforehand who won. I prefer to watch it in real time when I can. And so what I do is I sort of catnap through it. And I have the volume set at such a level that if anything interesting happens, it'll sort of wake me up. And because the crowd noise gets greater, and also the the announcers get more stimulated themselves. You can hear it in their voices, and that's inclined to wake me up. So then they replay those good points. So it's just like, okay, fine, I need to be awake for this, apparently. Anyway, so I've learned the system that I do. So just remember, if we possibly can, to smile. Remember this. Breathe and go slowly. I would like you, as you turn over the new page into the new year, to maybe write that down at the front of your day timer. Smile, breathe, and go slowly. And that's from my favorite monk, Thich Nhat Hanh. I can never say his name, so you know who I mean, that guy. Thich Nhat Hanh. Yeah. Anyway, Han, whatever. But I quote him. I've quoted him with that quote for years. And the other one I'd like to quote you comes from another well-known guru, whose name I'm not going to even attempt. And that is, plan for a miracle. Whatever's going on in your life, his advice is plan on a miracle. So, if your finances are in terrible shape, plan for a miracle. If your health is challenged, plan for a miracle. So when you're doing your plans, that is, as you look forward to the new year. But let's get ahead of ourselves. A couple of things. Before we get into the main part of this planning thing, I wanted to give you my tip for the day. And that is, whenever a piece of paper comes into my house, before I throw it away, okay, this is something that came off my printer, and it was, it's part of my grocery list. And I don't throw that away. What I do is because it's got a blank back, I just fold it like this. And now I've got an ideal little notepad to use during the day. And so what I've got is, in different parts of my house, I've got these little notepads ready to go. So does that make sense? And not only that, you've got like a little booklet. You've got plenty of room to write. And at the end of the day, I collect them and then I update my day timer because I find I remember different things in different rooms. Do you find that? So that's what I do. Now then, for those of you who have not seen me do this, I just wanted to make sure, sorry, my allergies are playing havoc today. I just wanted to make sure that we revisit the Wheel of Life. And for those of you who've never done it, it's a really good thing to do. What you do is you decide how much of your day, week, or year you spent, for example, dealing with your health, right? How much did you spend on your home? How much did you spend on whatever categories you want? And mine happens to be crafts, family and friends, admin and finances, gardening, deck, doing things outside, DearMamaSal. You know, I just put those in as the things. And then what you do is you go on a scale of 1 to 10, how much time did I spend, right? And what you do is then you link up. You just link everything up and you will see that obviously my wheel of life was out of balance because of my health issues. Jody, yours would be the same. I would suggest that maybe, I'm not completely sure, but Jeannie, it's possible that your family and friends, comes because of all the issues you have with your daughter and her family, that probably comes way out here. So that's what messes with your balance in your wheel of life. Now, I'm not suggesting you change that. I'm not suggesting you change that at all. Obviously, my main goal this year is to spend less time dealing with the negative things in my health and dealing with the positive things. All right. And then to bring this back into, yeah, I put it away. How unusual. To bring this back into line so that hopefully I will end up with more of a circle. Okay. Now, that may not be possible because I know I've got a year of dealing with teeth and eyes and things like that. So, who knows whether it's possible or not. So, what I wanted to do is just share with you some ideas. What most of us do is we end up with, those of us who do plan, we either don't plan at all or we over-plan. There are very few people I know that actually plan effectively, and I'm constantly trying to find a day timer that works for what I want it to do. So what I decided was it's not going to happen. Why? Because it's me. And therefore, I need something that suits me. Therefore, I need to design my own. Make sense? I am fed up with spending money buying other people's planners when it doesn't suit my thing. Now, here's what I've done. I keep my planner not in a bound book. I do it in a loose leaf book. And my pages are this way, but I've done them this way so it's easier for you to see. This is my magic page, as I call it. You will see that on this side, it has categories if you want it, or days of the week if you want it, or whatever. All right, this is very useful. I use this one sheet for so much. And then this is for notes and things that you want to write. So that's what I call my magic sheet. And this is how I use the magic sheet. Right? First of all, what I'd like you to do, and just if you've got a piece of paper and a pencil with you, the number one thing is I would recommend planning by the season first. All right. Now you can plan for the year, but I know that my plans keep changing so often. So what I do is I plan for the season. So I would have 4 pages for the different seasons coming up. Make sense? And I filled this one out for you just so we can show you how it works. All right. So number one goal for me is my health. And what I want to do is stay healthy. All right. So what I've got here, how many steps a day I want to average, how much fresh air, get my dental and vision issues fixed, my A1C, my blood pressure and blood glucose, all that sort of stuff. Right. Then my home. My overwhelming goal for winter is to continue to be more tidy and better organized. All right. Um, then what I have here, for example, is these are the main goals I have for the winter. To repaint the laundry. It was the one room that wasn't repainted after the fire. Move my confetti corner. That's where I do my crafts. Move that around. And the first, well, anyway, I'm going to show you about that in a minute. And then to downsize it. First, I want to reorganize the space in size, and then I want to downsize it. And then that's going to take the whole season, I think. Family and friends. My overall goal there is to keep in touch and keep inviting people over so I don't get lonely. In admin and finances, pay the bills. Make sure you do that, right? And then copy out 2023, all my receipts and everything for Yvonne. I do that on a pretty monthly basis, but just want to make sure that she's not missing anything, right? And the number one thing I have under admin and finances is be responsible, all right? Then I've got the garden, deck, things outside type category. And here I've got keep on improving because I'm getting more and more organized out on my deck. All right. Put the Christmas stuff away and back on the deck. Get rid of 6 more boxes. I've also got downsizing in that category, by the way. Yep. Tidy up the garden before March. There's normally an inspection in my community around about March, and then start seedlings in the winter time. All right. And dear Mama Sal, I gather you'd like me to keep doing it, so that's my goal. And keep in touch with people. I love hearing how Manon's doing, or I heard from Alice or Ace, depending how you knew her. And a lot of people over Christmas time, I was keeping in touch with them, all right? And then crafts, keep creating, because I have found that when I'm more creative, I am healthier. Don't know why, but that is true. So that's by season, right? Using the same sheet of design of paper. And then this would be by month, if you want to go down to that. Then, if you want to, you can also use it by week. Okay, so this is January, week 1. All right, very easy to do. Now then, I have a seasonal major goal, and of the major goals in my life, I wanted to focus on the confetti corner. And this is how I used this sheet for one goal. All right. This was in confetti corner. I need to move the freezer. Oh, I need the freezer area. I had to move it and then clean underneath where it was. I had to move it to a new location by about a foot. There's a reason for that. What I want to do okay, it's easy to show you. All right. It's difficult to explain, but let me try and do that. So this is my craft area, all right? And this is a freezer, my freezer. I have it in my craft area because a big freezer is wonderful for folding. It's opposite my laundry room, which is here. So it's really useful for folding laundry. It's really useful for cutting out things for the craft room. I use the lid of my freezer for so much. Whenever a package comes in from Amazon or wherever, anything goes on there because that's a great place to unpack things. All right, so the plan is, it's a little bit tight just here. All right. So the plan was this, to move the freezer by a foot this way. Plenty of room to do that. And then to move the whole of this desk by a foot so that I would end up with a foot more space to get into the area. At the moment, I have to sort of turn sideways to get in there. All right. And so to me, but it's been 2 years since I've been through everything there. So I want to also move the desk slightly this way. And I've got bookcases here. This is 1, 2, 3 bookcases. All right. This is a huge cubey bookcase. These are big cubey bookcases, and that's a sort of lower one. So what I want to do is literally work my way around the whole of my craft room over the course of the winter. Will it happen? I don't know. But so far, on my seasonal goal, so far, what I realized was what I used to plan for a day, I now plan for in a week. What I used to plan for in a week, I now plan for in a month, because it takes far longer for me to do things than I used to plan for. And that's why I'm dealing in better reality. So for example, week 1, what I said was move the freezer, clean underneath it, wash the floor underneath there and everything, and move it forward by a foot. I plan to do that next week. How long did it really take? It took me about an hour. But that's it. I've done the goal for this coming week. Does that make sense? I'm ahead of schedule on this. But these are all the weeks I've tried to put it into little doable things. Now, I don't know if any of you are aware of what they call the SMART system. And let me just make sure that we've okay, I'm going to come across that. I'll talk to you about that in a second. But it's really important to not be overwhelmed every day. And I think what happens is I'm too warm in this. We overwhelm ourselves. Yes, Jody's saying, great point. I have a bad habit of planning things way out of my scope of reality. Like my brain is thinking it's 25 years ago, and I'm more mobile. That's the whole thing, Jody. So start again, and I'm going to show you how to do it if you're interested. So this is a good way, all right, to do a big goal. Now then, Jody, if you would like a copy of this so you can print it out, either of this sheet or of the one I'm about to show you, just let me know. So this is now, we're down to the month of January we had. And then what I do is I have a sheet like this. I want to stay in balance, remember? That's what my goal is, to stay in balance. And so this is what this sheet looks like. Okay. And so here I've got Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You can design your own. And then these are my categories down the side, all right? Appointments, as Jeannie was saying. First thing, now next week I have no appointments planned so far, all right? Then my health. Now you will notice that each category has 2 slots. Why? If I spent an hour a day on each category, I would be in balance. Does that make sense to everybody? All right. Garden or outdoors, downsizing, da 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 da. All right. How about family and friends? House, admin, and finances. All right. Dear Mama Sal, I've just got a single category because that takes up a lot of time, but it's just basically costs and keep in touch. So it doesn't need a lot of writing, all right? Because the cost itself is a whole different category, right? That I have a different sheet for. And then crafts. How do you like that for staying in balance? And then what you do is try very hard not to have a to-do list. You know, that list you keep rewriting every day. All right, so here's what I recommend. I have this sheet because this sheet, instead of writing it on a list that I have to keep rewriting, I fill it in here. And if I haven't got enough room for all the things I'm thinking about for today, that means I can't do it today. That means I've got to put it in another month, another day, or another week, or another month. Does that make sense? And so what I do is I print 4 of these out backwards and forwards for the month. And then I try not to put it on a to-do list. I try to put it directly into this sheet. Now, what I like about this is some days I don't do what is there. Let me show you. Okay, so for example, yesterday, I didn't have very much in there, but I didn't do 2 things in it. I didn't do the family and friends segment. Doesn't worry me too much because I'm inclined to do those things at night. And I've got the rest of this afternoon and this evening to catch up and do those. But then what I'm doing is trying to keep my life in balance. So what I do is in the night before I go to bed, I try to schedule the next day with the most important thing. For example, for today was to do the broadcasts, all right? And then, you know, the most important thing for me to do in terms of my health, the most important things for me to do in each category. And what I find is I'm getting through stuff faster. And most importantly, I'm staying more in balance. Now, yesterday, the reason that I got out of sync was I was in confetti corner creating. And you know, for those of you who are creative people, Sandy being one of them, you will know that once you're in there, getting out of there is difficult. And the reason for that is I was busy working. Let me show you. So it's that time of year to start thinking about Valentine's Day. So I was doing different Valentine's Day cards. Okay, so we got this one like this, or the opposite of it, which is the red with the white behind. Which one do you like best? Do you like the white with the red behind or the red with the white behind? Not a white behind, no. I'm just working on those. They're not finished yet. They need to be assembled. You know, they're loose. They're not glued yet. That was one. I think you will probably remember this one. Okay, what's Sandy saying? Okay. So this is, I love this one. What I love about it is, you know, it's just like the 3D. When you open it up, these little hearts open up. So that's that one. Then, because I'm a great believer, all my cards, I try not to write Happy Valentine's Day, because I think we need to send these to each other, not just on Valentine's Day. So this one is I love. All right. And this is the new one. This is just the test of it. And I'm just testing it. But this one, I'm not sure what I'm going to write on the front. But then when you open it up, okay, it's going to look like this. So it's like a pop-up, but I've been playing with it too much and it broke. So, but you get the idea. And I think that's really beautiful. So, and then the heart has like 4 different layers to it. Don't know if you can see that. Now, the other thing I'm thinking about doing, and this is why I love playing and creating, this is what takes time, is, you know, what if the heart is, you know, even more? Okay. Yes, absolutely. You know, Sandy is saying that the craft room sucks time. And so you have to be, I have to be careful. And the reason I lost balance yesterday is because I was on a mission and I was feeling very creative, and I knew that I might not get back in there for a while. And so therefore, I got out of sync. But, you know, I still got everything done except contacting 2 friends. By the way, I try to contact 2 friends a day. Not to have a 10-minute, 20-minute conversation, just to pass them an email or a text, just to say, and that's over and above what I call my regular ones, right? I talk to Jody every day. I talk to Lauren every day. I talk to Jeannie most days. And so I don't count those. Those are what I call my routine. I'm talking about 2 people I don't normally contact. Yvonne I talk to every day, all right? So this is like, did I drop a note to 2 other people? Good. Now, Jeannie was saying that she automatically, while we were talking, just wrote in all 12 grooming appointments for her dog in her calendar. Yes. And, you know, really important that if you know that's going to happen, all right, obviously in my weekly calendar, there is no doubt that on Sundays and Fridays, I got the word cast, right? Now, what I haven't got in here yet, right, because I know it's going to happen the same way, is that on Saturdays and Thursdays, I need to write off at least a 2-hour block to do the final of putting the broadcast together. Now, the way I do the broadcast, just so that you know, is I keep, one of these, and every time I think of something that I can put into the broadcast, I just write it on here. And then at night when I collect these, anything, you know, on any piece of paper, and I go, okay, that needs to go on the cast. Then I put them where it's meant to be. All right. And then I found that makes putting the cast together so much easier for me. All right, because I've got all the information, and then the day before, I take all those bits and put them in the right order that I want them in. I wonder if that makes sense to any of you. So I have learned to save a lot of time putting the cast together by doing that. So first of all, let me tell you that I am relieved, as I said, to have made it through the year. And I'm certain that Jody is relieved as well with her health issues. And so I keep saying, wow, we made it. One thing that I always taught when I was teaching leadership, and I did so to young people for over 26 years, one thing I taught them all was at the end of an event, when I was teaching them how to run events, at the end of the event, it was really important, before you all go home, before you all forget, we sit down, or at most, I really used to do it before they went home. I know you're tired. I know you haven't had enough sleep. I know you need to get home, but we need to do this now. And here were the questions. Number one, what went right? What did we do in running this event that went right, and we know that it works, and we need to, make it more right, if you like, keep improving on it, but we know this works. What went well? And have a list of that. And then, not that we're beating up on anybody or anything, what didn't work? By the way, it was one thing that I always remember with Benji and Judy, where the day after December, automatically Benji and I would sit down after breakfast, and we would do this. What went right with December and what didn't work? And then, if we know what didn't work, what are we going to do to make sure it works next year? Right? So what I want you to do is have a look at your life. Have a look at this year. What worked this year? I am pretty certain that an awful lot of good things happened this year. Please don't forget the good things, all right? And that's what I kept telling the young people, all right? You can be as nitpicky as you like, but the truth is most of it went well. And the other thing, did most people not know about the bad stuff? Did you manage to keep going so that people didn't get all sucked into the bad stuff? And, I taught them how to do that. It's like, how do you have things go wrong but still carry on? And as you will know, it doesn't matter whether I've, got a cold going on or whether I've got, most of the time, I will do whatever it takes to do a broadcast. I don't care how I'm feeling. The only time I don't do a broadcast is where I feel I can't stand up and talk for 2 hours. Right? I've got to be really sick to not do it. Really sick. Not just not well. I mean, sick. Flu type sick, right? So if I cancel a broadcast, you know that I probably need some TLC. So because I am what they call a performer mentality, right? The show must go on. That's the way I look at it. So to me, but within reason, all right, I'm not going to make myself more sick for the sake of doing a broadcast, but it's just a case of, if you paid me $1 million to do it, could I still do it? And the answer is yes. But if the answer is I'm not sure, all right, if the answer is I'm not sure, then, I will cancel the broadcast, because that means I really am not well. All right. So moving on from that, what I found is when I look back on the year and I go, what went right? The most important thing that went right is that, as I said, that we got here. But what I want you to understand is that there were days last year where I wasn't sure that was going to happen, quite honestly. I really wasn't sure that was going to happen. And so when I look at what went right, I made it through. That went right, all right? I made it through the year. And so did Jody. So the two of us, although we had very difficult health challenges, and Jody's were way more challenging the mind. But as Jodi's always telling me, it's not about that. It's about we each had our challenges. All right. So what I realized was that what I want more than anything else, in one word, what I want for 2024 is balance. I want to get the balance back. Because if everything is in balance, if my house is in balance, it will be tidy. If my family and friends are in balance, it will mean that I'm keeping in touch with them and that we're seeing each other regularly, and they know I love them, right? Because I not because I tell them, it's because I show them. And then if my finances are in balance, it means I'm living within my means. Oh, there's another one. Jodi and I have a similar problem. All right. We've both got big, well, I've got a very big freezer, which is ridiculous. I got a freezer that a family of 5 would have, and it's full to the brim. I literally cannot put enough dough to go make a pizza in there, a pita in there anymore. That's how full it is. I started to get it down, and then I filled it up again. So Jodi has a smaller freezer, but hers is also full. Now, what Jodi said, her goal for the season of winter, and just correct me if I'm wrong on this, Jodi, but her goal for the winter was to eat out of her freezer. All right, not buy more stuff in the store and cook it and then try and put it in the freezer. This was about try not to buy more food. Now, that has a double whammy. It means that her budget will be leaner in January. Think about that. Where is your major expense when you are cooking it? Probably on meat. And so when you think about it, by eating for a month, and Jodi, I've decided I'm going to join you in that. And so with your permission, I thought we might discuss what we what we do each week. All right. So yes, the proteins. That's what we buy. The cheese. I don't know how much cheese I've got frozen in my deep freeze. Quite a bit. And you know how much cheese I bought for Christmas? I'll get on to Christmas later. But you understand, this is like, so the major goal for food is to eat out of the freezer. Now that requires both, I got 2 freezers full. So that requires that we know what's in the freezer. Right? And what I've decided again is I did this quite well recently, which is for a week, I only ate out of whatever was in the freezer here in the kitchen to make space. And then the trick was for the next week was to dumpster dive in the big freezer and get out something that was pork, something that was beef, something that was chicken or turkey. All right. And then something and bacon, because bacon goes into the pasta type dishes. So, and then to restock. So I'm going to think of it this way, Jodi, that the freezer in my kitchen is my food for this week freezer. And if I've got more food in there than for a week, then I've got to either get rid of it or make room for it in the big freezer. Because what I want there is to use that stuff. Now, what I'm doing is if I find vegetables that have been there for a while, I'm hucking them. Or using them to make soups. Sandy's saying dumpster dive in the freezer. That's funny, but it's so accurate. Yeah, you never know what you find, right? I literally have a freezer that is, hang on. I call it my 2 bodies freezer, right? It's this big. Okay, by about that wide. by about that high. It's a big freezer, people. It's not small. And here in my kitchen, I've got a French door type freezer, a fridge with a big 2-drawer freezer underneath. I live on my own, people. In Europe, they work on a fridge that is what I call a bar-size fridge. All right, why? They go out and they buy fresh food every day. So now I had a look at what's in my freezer. Could some of you tell me what is taking up the most space in your freezer? Yep. It's bottles of stuff. Bottles of stuff. You know what I mean? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bottles of stuff that are taking up a lot of space and decant them into, I haven't got any of my small ones here, but this size jar that I can stack. All right, so they're all the same size, right? Not all the different size bottles that, quite honestly, when you look at those bottles, how full are they? Now, I've got half a bottle of wine in here. And it's good stuff. All right? So I got half a bottle of Chardonnay. I need to go visit Betty Ann. She'll help me finish that. Or if I don't want to do that, then I want to freeze the wine? What I found is freezing the wine in big ice cubes. See how big those ice cubes are? No, can't see through there very easily. But that's the size of the ice cube. So whenever I'm making gravy or maybe even a soup or a casserole or something, throw in or visit Betty Ann. Yeah, it's another good way of getting rid of it. So she'll love that. So have a look at your freezer, your fridge, and go, where am I wasting space? And I think the old adage that I came across last year that makes so much sense to me is take everything out, put it somewhere, and then repack it. Now, but before you do, this is what the people who do downsizing for a living say. Number one, take everything out of that drawer or that shelf or that freezer or that fridge. Take everything out. Then put it into categories. All right? So, and the most important thing, and I'm learning to do this in my my pantry here. I use my old Weetabix or mini wheats boxes because they're really good to contain categories. And this particular one has to do with prunes and stuff like that I use either to eat or to put into health bars that I make. All right. So, and the reason it's a good idea is it is taller. We waste so much space halfway up a shelf and to the top, to the next shelf. That's wasted space. So these are bigger, and if necessary, I can make them even bigger by doing that. All right? You add another couple of inches. So I am working my way around my... Now, here's the sad news. You're not going to believe this. I not only have a larder this wide and this high in my kitchen, I have the same again twice in my laundry room. Do you think my biggest problem is I am a collector of food? Up above these units that you see, I collect coffee, right? During the pandemic, I was absolutely fearful that we would have what I call what happened in the war years, and I'd run out of coffee. So I collected coffee all during the pandemic. And I still have 6 cans. Yep. Oh, no, there's another one. 7. 7 cans of coffee. I'm working my way through it. But if I don't plan to use it, I won't use it, all right? And the other thing is this, what happens is I got into the habit, if ever the coffees that I like go on sale, I will only buy coffee when they're on sale. But they seem to know that I do that because they keep putting the ones I like on sale. What I've got to do is stop buying them. Stop buying them. So, Jody, we are going to see what we can eat out of our freezer. Now, yesterday, I was pretty sure, now listen to what happened to me. Yesterday, I was pretty sure that turkey would be on sale at my supermarket this week, right? Because we've done Christmas. And they didn't have any. So they replaced it with chicken. Well, I already had more than enough chicken. However, here's the trick. I buy chicken breasts and I cut them into slices. And those chicken breasts I can use for a chicken dinner because it's already sliced. But I slice them in like chicken tender type size slices. So I can use them for chicken tenders. Oh, by the way, I cook before I freeze. All right. I cook my chicken and my turkey and stuff before I freeze it. So I know that I can just pull out frozen and then I can get creative with whatever I want to do with it. If somebody pops around and they decide to stay for a meal and I want to do a cheese board with some proteins on it, I'll just pull out a bag of chicken and just let it thaw. And it's already cooked. It's ready to go. However, I'm trying to think what is taking up the space in my freezers. And I've got a feeling it's things like cheese and frozen vegetables where I kept, I didn't want to throw the vegetables away, so I froze them. Do any of you relate to that? So I'm pretty sure that it's time for me to huck those vegetables. Now, I do know I've got about 3 packets of peas in my big freezer because, that was a very special sale that went on and it was ridiculous. Why wouldn't you buy those packets of peas? So what do I know? I have got to keep eating meals that use peas and use up those peas. Not every day, but more frequently. So does it make sense that one of these sheets needs to be food and it'll be on my fridge, and then it'll have pork, chicken, beef. Now, beef can be steaks, or I don't think I got any steaks left in the freezer, so I'm going to want to eat steaks now. Steaks, pork, pork, chicken. What am I missing? Beef, yes, beef. It can be ground beef or whatever. And sometimes some of the best use of vegetables is to take some beef and then grind it all up like they did in the war years. Make cottage pie. That's like shepherd's pie in America, but it's actually cottage pie. Make cottage pie, and then if necessary, freeze the packets of pre-made cottage pie, the ground beef with the vegetables in it. Why? You can use it over spaghetti. How many of us have got too much pasta in the house because of we bought quite a bit? I've nearly worked my way through. I bought a lot of crackers, and I've nearly worked my way through those. I've nearly worked my way through my pastas as well, not by eating a lot, but just by having it on the menu every week or twice a week. I am trying to work my way through my ramen for the same thing. So again, if you think about it, ramen is a really good thing into which you can throw vegetables or even ground meat or chunks of meat, all right? And it makes a very, just one little cube of ramen will actually feed me for two meals. The other thing, I've gone back to meal prepping. And this is, by the way, this is up here. This is leftover turkey. This is, I think, the last one of the leftover turkeys. And underneath is the leftover apple crumble pie that Yvonne bought for Christmas. And then we're starting with, meal prepping different meals. And what I try to do is prep 2 meals a day. But also to remember to prep 2 salads. And I try to make sure I eat 1 good helping of salad every day. Balance. I notice I've got 2 bread rolls left. All right. Yes, Jeannie's saying when I have a lot of vegetables in the freezer, I make soup. Jeannie, so do I. But my problem is I don't eat it or drink it. So I'm very good at making the soup and not so good about actually consuming it, because it ends up that I make a big batch of soup and it ends up in the freezer. So tell me, I'm trying to think how I can do that. Not make such a big batch, obviously. Or make thicker soups. In other words, use more vegetables, liquidize it. Yeah, Jeannie's saying I usually have it for lunch. Yeah, I have my pita at lunchtime, so I'm into that habit. So, yeah, soup and salad. Or maybe soup and sandwich, i.e. my pita. Good. That would be balanced. Now, I bought quite a lot of cheese for Christmas Day, and they didn't eat cheese because they were so full with everything else. So now, obviously, I've got cheese on the menu every day. But I am inclined to eat cheese every night anyway. Before, my last sort of, I have a pita at lunchtime and then a cooked meal, try to have a full meal with dessert. And then later on at night, I have grapes, cheese, and maybe a couple of crackers. But I'm trying to get away from the crackers at night. I'm trying just to eat the grapes and the cheese. Or an apple and cheese, right? That's how I'm going to use it up. Make sense? So, as you can see, this is all about what if I cannot work out a plan to eat the food unless I know what I've got. All right, so Jeannie's saying, I throw away some cookies because I bought too many. Cannot imagine throwing away cookies. All right. See, that's not in my. I stand in awe of you, Jeannie. The idea that I would have too many cookies and I threw them away. I did the opposite. I got rid. One of my Christmas presents was a whole box of shortbread. A box like this, shortbread. They know I love shortbread. So Wade bought me some shortbread, and then the way I got rid of it was I ate it all in one sitting. um, I'm now busy getting my blood sugar back down, but oh, it was so good. It was lemon flavored shortbread. Have you ever had lemon shortbread made with lemon zest in it? So good. Now, there's no doubt, and while I'm talking about this, that I made those wonderful chocolates for everybody and piled on all this weight. So, do I know that I'm going to have to spend more time doing more steps now in January to get rid of this weight again? I worked so hard to get rid of it. But I know how to do it. All right. Eat less and keep the body moving. It's not rocket science. You don't need to join Weight Watchers or whatever. What you need to do is have more discipline, right? Eat less. That's why I'm back to meal prep. And that's the other thing. If I look at all the food I've got in my freezers, if I meal prepped it all, I've probably got enough for a couple of years at least. So that's what I want to be more cognizant of, is that I need to cook meals out of my freezer. So we'll be interested to see. And I think on the whole, I've actually frozen quite well, the meat stuff quite well. It's already cut, or it's already, the ground beef is already minced. So I've just got to plan it better, because what I'm doing is, instead of the hard work of getting something out of the freezer, I'm buying fresh meat every week. Yeah, I would love to, Jody. This is called, maybe we start Lent early, all right? Or what I'm thinking, Jody, is we need certain days where we definitely have to dumpster dive in the freezer. All right, I would say at least 3 days a week. All right, preferably more. But I also know that in reality we're going to end up buying some other food. Jeannie's saying, after cooking my pot roast meal, I put together 3 pot roast dinners and put them in the freezer. Yeah, I've got, I after the turkey, I had 4, so I sent everybody home. I literally, when we finished the meal, I bought out those takeaway boxes that I've got, and I put them down. I said, everybody take at least 2 meals home. All right? At least 2 meals. Take the 2 meals home. All right? Plus the cookie. Oh yeah, I made gingerbread. Yeah, right. Where are they? I made gingerbread balls. So, see, like this. Oh, so good. So I sent everybody home with like chocolates, a full turkey dinner. Oh, I made homemade cranberry sauce. Ah, I want to tell you, that went down so well. And first of all, I said to Yvonne, if you like some cranberry sauce, it's these 2 containers. She said, "Oh, I don't like that stuff." I said, "Really?" I said, "This isn't out of a can. I made this from scratch." So I said, "How about you just put a teaspoon in and just taste a little bit, see whether you like it." Well, she had 2 helpings. And it was just so pure, if you know what I mean. It was just cranberries and orange juice and some brown sugar, and with lemon zest, pieces of orange zest in there. And it was so good. I'm going to make more. I now know that it is a really good thing to have, and I'm thinking I might make some and share it with my neighbors. Yeah, well, I need more in my fridge, right? See my problem? But it tasted. I will never buy cranberry sauce again. And Jody will tell you that cranberries are really good for you. All right, it's good for your immune system. It's good for you. It helps with inflammation in your body. I try to eat cranberries every day. I will throw a handful of cranberries on my salad. That salad, okay, the salad for today, can you see the cranberries in there? Right? So things I like to put in my salads are mandarin orange slices, pineapple slices, cranberries, or raisins. Right? Put fruit in your salad. And the question is why? Number one, it tastes a whole lot better. But number two, most of us don't eat enough fruit. We don't eat enough fruit and we don't eat enough vegetables. So that's why, and when I say a handful, I don't mean a heaping handful. I mean, yeah, handful, this way. All right, so are we getting the idea that we can, if we don't plan to eat the food in our freezer, Jody, we're not going to do it? So I tell you what, Jody, how about we have, and anybody else that's watching that has the same problem, how about we, for January, we give ourselves a point every time we use something out of the freezer. And we minus if we put anything in. What do you think? And see if we can come out of January with a plus balance. Yeah. Jeannie's saying, I have green grapes, strawberries, and more fruit in the refrigerator in the Noshon. Yeah, I do too. But I'm adding to that. All right. I add, Jody, you're going to try? Really? You're going to try? You know what that means. I hope you're laughing. Yeah, no, well, we'll do it. Yeah, okay. But you see the difference, Shirley. But here's the thing. Let's do it daily, all right? Which is, you and I talk daily, and I will ask you, I will try and give you, I'm pretty good about giving you information when you want it. So I will let you know how I do. So Jeannie, I'm going to work on making small soups, no more than 2-cup type soups. All right? Because that will help me get both, chicken out of, I can make chicken soup, chicken noodle soup, or even better, I can use some of the pasta, chicken noodle soups, or maybe, how many of you like mulligatawny soup? Oh, that reminds me of my youth. It's like a curry soup. So good. What else have I got lots of in the pantry? Right. Imagine how much extra space I would have if I could downsize this pantry, which has got stuff in it from way back. I know the top shelf has got lots of things like, hang on a second, soups and what do you call them? Gravy powder, stuff like that. Okay. Now, again, I need to start using those up on different ways. Now, one thing I've learned is packaged soups are really good. Don't take up a lot of space, but are really good for sour cream dips. All right. I just put sour cream dip in a teaspoon of onion powder. Yeah. I hope that's the English version. Anyway, just these. So I do buy these, and I find them really useful. And a packet of chicken noodle is a great base for a soup, and then add all the vegetables and whatever into it, and the chicken, extra chicken, and so forth. So that's a good idea. I would say, hold on a second. No. The point that I'm trying to make here is that if we don't plan the menu to eat out of the freezer, if we don't plan it, if that isn't our plan for the week, all right, if we don't do that, then we won't eat it. We will just go back to our habit of buying too much food. And we can't afford that, Jody. So let's eat out of the freezer. The beginning is always today. Mary Shelley said that. The beginning is always today. So today, I've got stuff in the fridge here that I'm going to eat. But what if I also say that for every meal I take out of the fridge, because I got 2 days worth already, that I also take out a bottle and decant it into something smaller to start making more room. And the other thing is, I want you to look at your fridge and work out where is the space, okay? And I can tell you, I'm looking at mine at the moment. I can tell you what I need to do. I need to get, I've got so many different sorts of milk. I've got 2% milk. I've got whole milk that I make from whole milk powder. I've got cream. I've got so many of those sort of things. I need to, my goal for this week, and Jody will help me, my goal for this week is to empty out my fridge doors and get all those sort of milk type products into the doors, not in the fridge itself. That will give me so much more room. And what's sitting in the doors at the moment? All those little bottles of this and that that I'm going to decant into smaller containers. You know what would be really smart? It would be really smart if I actually did that for the broadcast on Sunday. How smart would that be? In other words, that literally we could see this big bottle is taking up this much space in my fridge, but I've got it down to this. Now, what I've also bought, and I'm waiting for them to arrive, is some special containers that are tall and see-through that go in the fridge door, where you can actually put more things in the fridge door vertically. And so that's what I want to be able to do. So we'll see. We'll see how I do. The idea is, can I double the size of space in my fridge? Because you do understand, for those of you who know that I did this, that because I was so busy putting stuff in my fridge for Christmas, I actually created a second fridge out on the deck with a big tote where I kept some of my vegetables. Now, I'd be pleased to tell you that those vegetables are now in my fridge, but the vegetables I automatically bought for this week are now in the tote. So, I've got an extra week's worth of vegetables, fruit and vegetables hanging around that I need to eat. The goal will be nothing out on the deck, if possible, except the extra wine. That's what I got to do. So every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. So what do we need to stop doing? What do we need to stop doing? Yes, absolutely great idea. Jeannie's saying, I own a couple of round rotating containers for cheese. All right. So in other words, and I do that as well. I keep the new cheese at a different level from the day-to-day cheese. All right. I have a cheese drawer that's the cheese I need to eat this week. The extra cheese goes on a different level, the backup cheese. And I always have to have backup cheese. The reason I've got nails like this is because I eat cheese, I think. How about this? It says, and then she realized that a fresh start was hers for the taking. that she could be the woman she always had seen in the distant horizon, her future self, one step at a time, starting today. You see, if we want to get our life in balance, this thing about the freezer is not a 10-minute task, right? We know that. The fridge, I mean, it's not a 10-minute task. It takes a long time. But what if you don't do the whole thing, right? And this is what I'm teaching myself. Yeah, I might have the big goal for the month is to completely clean out the fridge. But, I've learned that that's not realistic to do every day. So every day I just go, what have I done? All right. Have I done one shelf? Or have I done, if that's a bad shelf, have I done half a shelf in a week? If I do that half a shelf in a week, every week, all right, and keep rotating that practice. That's what I'm trying to teach myself is every week do something. Yesterday, it was my fruit basket in my fridge that I just cleared everything out of it. Why? Because I want the fruit that is on my dining room table to go in there, and then the fruit that's on the deck will go on my dining room table because it looks so pretty. Louisa May Alcott said, I make so many beginnings, there will never be an end. So Jody and I talk a lot about my rotations. I really do believe in doing things in rotations, and you know that. I will go to my washroom at the back of the house, and on my way back, I will tidy a little bit in my bathroom. I will tidy a little bit in my bedroom if it needs it. I will tidy a little bit in the craft room, or set something printing in the craft room, or cutting in the craft room. I will then tidy something in the studio, but it's such a big job. That studio is going to take a whole year, probably. The studio being the one room that still has packing. Oh, no, I lie. I've got two rooms now that have got banker boxes in them. They were big boxes, but now they're banker boxes. One is I've got them in my bedroom now because they were ones that I started to move out of the studio, and of course I haven't opened them. So I've got to work. Part of my plan with Ciora is to go get those boxes out of my life. In other words, empty them, recollate them, mark them properly, and get them into the shed, because I'm certain that's where they need to be, and they will probably end up going out. Sometimes you just know it's time to start something new and trust the magic of new beginnings. One of the things that I read about downsizing and cleaning up the clutter was, if you can, you hold on to so much stuff because I might need this. I'm not joking. Did I tell you about that? That big tote I've got out on the deck? It's like this big by about this deep. I had one of those totes full of electrical stuff. Full. Tripods, you name it. It was full. And what I did, so many cords and zip drives and everything. And what we did is Siora and I went through the whole thing, and we got it down from that huge tote to 2.5 boxes. And the 2.5 boxes could probably go down to one box next year. And the reason I say that is, for some reason, I did not want to get rid of the zip drives. Now, why? I don't know. It's just like, so be it. New beginnings. I've got to learn more about letting go. Nothing is predestined, Ralph Bloom said. The obstacles of our past can become the gateways that lead you to new beginnings. I work very hard now to try and clean up. Ideally there should only be one thing on that area right there. I got the coffee maker, the foamer, then I've got the powder for my skim milk powder for my coffee lattes. And then on that side, I've got, oh yeah, I've got my pour over coffee. They need to be in that cupboard. Why are they not in that cupboard? Because it's full. Downsizing is big thing. Nothing in the universe can stop you from letting go and starting over. Actually, that's not true. Only one thing stops us from letting go and starting over. What they said that I was going to say about electrical equipment and things like that, if you can rebuy it for $20, let it go. Because if you do need it, it'll only be $20 to replace it. Now, you and I both know if you let it go, and I donated an awful lot, and luckily Siora knows a guy that rebuilds computers and things, and I had so many computer and printer leads, it was just ridiculous. I said, well, donate them, at least he can use them or chuck them as he wants to. The only thing that stops us from doing things is ourselves, and we don't plan it. Okay, we don't plan to do it, and therefore if you don't plan, you plan to fail. More smiling, less worrying. More compassion, less judgment. More blessed, less stressed. I like that. More blessed, less stressed. And more love, less hate. I so enjoyed Christmas. By the way, Christmas Eve, the celebration I was going to go over to my neighbors for, had to be canceled because they all got sick. Now, I did go over there and give them a hug, and I think that's probably why I'm got another cold back again. But what are you going to ask me to do? Not hug somebody? Yeah. So, but any minute now, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be back over there. So, and celebrate Christmas over there. In some way, we won't necessarily have Christmas dinner, but we'll have a meal together. And so I've still got the present. When are you bringing down your Christmas decorations? Anybody done it yet? I think I'm going to keep mine till Epiphany. What's that? The 6th of January, 5th, 6th, I think it is. So my table looks so pretty. Oh, it was just like I was. Let me see if I got a picture. Nah, it'll take too long. I'll do it on Sunday. I'll bring you some pictures of how my table looked for Christmas. But it was just like, it was so good. And by the way, Christmas went so well. As you know, Yvonne and Wade and Doug all came for Christmas dinner. And Yvonne made the Christmas turkey. And I told her, don't do a turkey, just bring, do a butterball, one of those pre-prepared ones that you just cook it up and it's no bones, no anything. I did, what amazed me was how much work I gave myself. It was just, I didn't buy cranberry sauce in a jar. I made it. I didn't use packaged stuffing. I made my stuffing. I made my stuffing from scratch. And by the way, they're really nice in bowls. I also made bowls of stuffing, and everybody loved them. Because they were crispy on the outside and then moist in the inside. Does that make sense? The other thing is I was able to make them a couple of days ahead of time. I checked everything that how long can you keep this in a fridge for? And it was amazing how much of the meal I could get, cook ahead of time. So, but I really recommend that. And I might start making more stuffing, using up my leftover bread and stuff. But what did I have in the stuffing? Had breadcrumbs, of which I had plenty. Breadcrumbs, celery. I used leeks instead of onions. And then, sage and yum. It was, very tasty. And I was thinking, Jody, that, stuffing actually is a good food for filling up the belly, right? Um, and using up celery and leeks. Out of my freezer. I don't have celery in my freezer, but I definitely have leeks. Yep, what I'm going to do is make those into sort of what I call protein balls. I'm going to add bacon or something to them and then make those. Yeah, great idea. Oh, interesting. Jody said they normally leave their decorations up until the end of January. Wow. My outside lights are going to come in soon because that saves electricity. Every moment is a new beginning. Jeannie's saying, I'm so grateful for all the prayers and better health for my daughter and family in Texas. Many sincere thanks. Well, you know, I made sure it was at the top of the broadcast for that reason, because it's really important that we understand how difficult that has been for you. And Jeannie, our thoughts and prayers for you as well, because it must be so difficult when you live in Maine and you're geographically challenged because Annie and the family live in Texas. It's just like you can't quickly pop on a flight and just go down there at a whim. All right, that's a big journey. And one of the discussions we had over the Christmas table, for some reason, wasn't it insane that it can cost $1,000 today to just travel from one end of British Columbia to the other, but we can go to the Caribbean for less. Can anybody make sense of that? And I said, strangely enough, when I send packages around the world, the package that goes to Pat in Nova Scotia is always the most expensive to send and also takes the longest. It is cheaper for me to send stuff to Tasmania, down to Lauren in Tasmania, than it is to send stuff to Pat. Go figure that. What is wrong with our country? And suddenly it's time to start something new and trust the magic of new beginnings. So part of my joy is to be in balance, means the thing that needs to shift is the way that I buy. I need to buy this. I need less coming into the house to fill up my fridge. I need to dumpster dive more, use up what is in my freezers, and still eat very, very well. And if I continue I'm trying to meal prep a couple of days ahead. So I'm already thinking I've got enough food now in those containers and they're properly portioned. So now I'm probably working on Monday, Tuesday now that I'm getting ready. Using fruit, it's like, let's get this working again. Don't be afraid of new beginnings. Why? Don't shy away, by the way, from new people or new energy, new surroundings. Embrace new chances of happiness. By the way, my heart goes out to my sister. She agreed to dog sit for a friend of hers while he went off to Hawaii for Christmas. This dog was trained to poop inside. Have any of you ever trained a dog to poop inside? But this dog was trained to poop inside. And not only that, it also, if you leave it alone, it eats walls and things. It has a major problem with stressing out when it's alone. And I'm sorry to say that both those problems are people-made. All right? It wasn't taught how to be on its own and to be safe. And the other thing is, I've just thought of the answer. Anyway, and the other thing is, it was taught to poop inside on a poop mat. For whatever reason, I cannot imagine. So, what I said to my sister is, please don't blame the dog. This was because it was taught to do this from way back when. But I don't believe that dogs can be too old to learn new tricks at all. I've had older dogs and I've taught them new manners and new tricks all the time. So, but I'm going, how sad, because now she has to get up 3 times during the night just in case the dog needs to go out. She's only got a week to go. Holding on is believing that there's only a past. Letting go is knowing that there is a future. Wow. You know what came into your mind when you heard that? Holding on is believing that there's only a past. What are you holding on to from the past? What came to your mind? I'm going to tell you what mine was. Letting go is knowing that there's a future. One of the cubies in my craft room that I happened to take out yesterday to do something else, one of it is filled with memorabilia from my days of speaking. You know, the tags that they gave me. Yes, the XYZ conference and my name. And I've got a whole cubie full of them. Wouldn't that be a quick downsize? A whole cubie. But why am I holding on to them, people? Could somebody explain that? Why am I holding on to them? What possible value do they have except to hold on to the past? That's going this week. Wow, I'm so glad I have these quotes. So did anybody else have a picture come into their mind what they're holding on to that you don't need to? Because if so, it will help you clean up your act a bit. So I want to just say that when we start over for 2024, let's work on less food, less expense. You know, Jody, I keep thinking that how much money we could save by eating out of our freezers. And, you know, we're going to say, well, it's so boring. But the point is, if we already paid the money, we might as well eat it. Jody's saying there are crafting supplies that need to be reorganized. Some can be thrown out. Yeah. I'm trying to find new uses for, you know, when you cut out a card, there's always a piece of card left over, all right? I don't throw those away. Yeah, because every now and then you need something and you go, oh, I got that color. But I have it organized now. But what I'm thinking of doing is turning those little strips into little cards and making them seasonal and giving them to my florist. Now, here's something else. I mean, this is how stupid I've become, really. Hold on. And I'm going to get it all organized, but let me find out. Yeah. So can you see that each time I cut out one of these cards, these hearts are cut out? All right. So because I'm thinking little red cards with white hearts on them for a florist would be very useful. What do you think? It's like, don't I have a life? And then I found with another one of the cards that I was doing, it was so cute. I only noticed it afterwards, but it had the cutout was little butterflies. I thought it was so cute. I'm going, why am I throwing those away? They make lovely cards, right? Oh, and they also, They also did red ones. So, and what I'm going to do is to use those sort of things for my tags for next year. Hang on a second. So Yvonne always asks, I make my own tags, right? A second. This was Yvonne's tag. Like this. So it had that raised idea, but with leaves and then just Yvonne's initial. All right. So everybody had a bag with one of these on it. But I'm thinking now next year, I can make little tags with butterflies and hearts. Good use of it. Waste less, use more. But now I'm going, okay, but I'm going to get organized and keep them all in. This is a reused Kleenex box. And so I'm just going to keep them like this. So it's amazing what you find. Oh, yes, this is it. There we go. There's another card that I'm working on. This is where the butterflies come in. Can you see that? So it's going to go on the front of a card. This is the card that I showed you like this. It's quite a complicated card, but I'm going to put that on the front. We can do this, people. One step at a time. There we go. So plan to be ready for 2024. Jody, what I'm finding, and it's important because I know that you run into the lists of lists. What I'm finding is putting things in like this, and if I haven't got room for it today, it has to go into another day, stops me looking at a huge, let me show you what my list of things, this is my December list of things that I still got some things in December I haven't done. This is all December stuff, notes about December. And this is January already. There's already a page and a half of things I'm working on, right? But I don't want to look at those lists. They mess with my brain. This is all I have to worry about one day at a time. And I'm finding I am more productive because of it, Jody, just so that you know. I've stopped, the list is still there, but it's a whole list for January. Now, it's not daily or whatever. It's just like the list is there, written once. And then at the beginning of the new month, I can rewrite it, but I'm not rewriting them every day. But when I want to work out what do I want to put in today, I've got the list ready. Okay. The first step towards getting somewhere is to decide you're not going to stay where you are. Overwhelmed, unable to cope, messy, whatever that word is. When you look back on the year, what didn't you like? Any of you have any feedback on that one? What was it about last year that you didn't like? Now, I don't mean things you cannot change, like, your health, but it's like, what else did you not do? What did you not make time for that you want to make time for this year? Because we know we are the ones that create the mess. We are the ones that create all our issues because we are accountable. The only thing that's going to change them is if we change. And my thing was, I want to be more balanced. All right. I want to have my life continue to be more balanced. It actually is pretty balanced. I'm pretty proud of myself for that. But I'm working on more so. And by the way, I found out, for example, that if I want to put in 3,000 steps because I'm short of steps, I've got a choice. I can sit down for half an hour on Billy the bike and pedal for half an hour, and that'll give me 3,000 steps. Or I can choose to get up and stand in front of the television and walk for 10 minutes 3 times during binge watching. Just 3 times, we'll do it. 10 minutes a time. You see, it's all about what are the tricks of the trade. Jody, I know that you're probably looking forward to being able to have the energy to be able to use your elliptical again. All right? It's a good idea. Jeannie's saying, thanks for this good broadcast. I need to get more exercise, but times I feel so exhausted. Now, there's the catch-22, Jeannie. Isn't that weird? That we're too exhausted, but yet if we go out and get the fresh air, we will have more energy. So rather than not do it, why not just say, I'm going to do 10 minutes a day? All right? Just literally, and you take Stella out anyway every day. So you must get exercise outside and breathe fresh air. Maybe you're not being fair to yourself on that. All right? Or if you're taking Stella out for 10 minutes, maybe make it 15. That would give you 5 minutes a day, 7, 5, 30, give you an extra half an hour a week. Yeah. You see, you don't think of that as exercise, but it is. Especially, after she's done all the sniffing, then take one part of the walk and just walk. Don't let her stop anymore. After that she's done all she needs to do or whatever, then just go, okay, now I'm going to walk 5 minutes out, 5 minutes back. That's what I found interesting. Right? If you just add 5 minutes out to your walk, you've got an extra 5 minutes on the way back. That's 10 minutes extra each time you walk her. Does that make sense? So yeah, I normally take 10 minutes, make it 15 out, or you know what I mean? It's just like, you'll be amazed how you can add your steps in that way. Not massive change, just a little. And I don't know if you've noticed it, once you're out, it's great. It's getting out. And I think a dog is a great way to get you out. Well done. All right, I'm out of here. This is DearMamaSal saying thank you so much for all that you did to support me this year, all that you did to support the other DearMamaSal viewers. I don't take that lightly. What you did to support one another just blew my mind. And I know a lot of it happens in the background and you don't even let me know about it. But I do know that what you do makes a difference. I do know that the fact that you come here does make a difference to so many people's lives because people are watching, as we know, in the background. I know that because of the views that we get. I know that because of the occasional comments I get. I go, I don't know who that person is. But obviously they're a regular viewer because they talk about things that they, it's like, that tells me that they're a regular viewer. So keep doing it, people. Thank you so much, both to Jeannie and, of course, to Jody. Thank you so much for being here on a weekly basis to support me while I do the broadcasts. It is so important to me to know that you are there and that if I need something looked up quickly or if I need some help with trolls or whatever it is, that you will be there and have my back. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate that support, and I hope that doesn't change. Most of all, if you can imagine this, I hope that we're all here this time next year. And I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that that happens. And I'm hoping that we will all do the same. So this is DearMamaSal saying thank you so much, everybody, for a great year. It had a lot of challenges, and as Jody so rightly said, Along with those challenges, we learn a lot. We can do this for another year. Hang on there. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, love you dearly. Very happy New Year. And Jody, dumpster dive. The winter is, we're going to make winter the dumpster dive month, season. Okay. We can do this. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, love you dearly. And bye-bye for now.